the behavioral sins, we call them actual sins, right? And when I say actual sins, I don't just mean like, well, that's actually a sin, but like the act of sin, right? Actual sins may not all rank the same. However, what we do with those actual sins always ends up at the same place, right? So we always end up back at the cross. We always end up back at the baptismal font. We always end up back at the Lord's table, where the forgiveness that has been won now becomes mine for this, right? So it's my dad, he wrote a book several years ago that many pastors have read over the years, and many lay people as well, called Counseling at the Cross. I've experienced this firsthand from him, but he describes taking people through this journey to the cross. And he has them visualize, what is that like? What do you see on the hill outside of Jerusalem? I see Jesus, and all the pictures that we saw in Sunday school. Well, yeah, we got to look a little bit deeper. What else is there? The sins of the whole world are there. Yes, absolutely. The sins of the whole world are there. What else is there? All the sins that I've committed. Yes, all the sins that you've committed. Now, which one? And then it's like, that one. That's the sin that nailed Christ to the cross for me, right? That's the one. So then I get to see my own brokenness, even in this specific area that's so deep and so profound. I get to see a Savior who said, I know, and it is finished, right? And so, regardless of the sin, but this one in particular, let's not forget, this is the one for which Christ came. And if I can't see that one there, then objective, universal justification, all of that is great, but sometimes I need to see that one. I need to see that one there. So a very profound yet simple answer is we always end up back at the cross. I think there's more to be said on there, but I'll pause there and see if you have any follow-ups to my comment.
Yeah, that's the question, right? Is it simply a spiritual healing that needs to happen? Is there an emotional healing that needs to happen? I've heard people come at it from both directions. I've heard people say, you can't really ever recover from that. I've also heard people say, basically, you can say I need healing and help, but I'm good, kind of.
Yeah.
So how do we address this and where does the truth lie?
Yeah. So I think certainly from a spiritual perspective, this is the most important place for us to start, right? Start with what's objectively true. And from a mental health side, this is where I might come in from that angle. I really want to align how I feel with what's objectively true. Because sometimes the way I feel about a thing is different than what's objectively true. So then we work through that. That would be emotional healing, right? I want to work through I want to see myself the way that I know God sees me, right? I want to be able to forgive myself if such a thing was even possible. So that emotional healing, I think it starts, right? It starts with knowing that I am forgiven, that my identity is not wrapped up in what I've done. My identity is wrapped up in the Christ who claimed me as his own. My identity is wrapped up in baptism.